Hello everybody, welcome to Free Practice 2 here at Zandvoort, the second weekend of DTM 2026 in brilliant sunshine here. That's the coast and we are just about 300 metres away from that extensive sandy beach. Went for a walk along it last night for about an hour each way and didn't get anywhere near getting from one end to the other. And that's because the weather is really good here for the weekend, for the time of year. It's about 10 degrees, if not more, warmer than it was for this equivalent race last year. And there you can see the track temperature is already up into the mid-30s. The air temperature up to around about 24 degrees. Pretty breezy as it tends to be off the North Sea coast here at Zandvoort, which is only around about half an hour's drive or train ride away from Amsterdam. And expecting a big crowd here across the course of the weekend, walking around the paddock in between the two free practice sessions. Already lots of people here, lots of Dutch flags as well, lots of supporters for Thierry Vermeulen in the Emil Frey Racing Ferrari. And we'll see what everybody is set to do when we get to qualifying tomorrow morning. A bit more with this second free practice session, because the first free practice session was about getting things set up, checking systems, trying things out in terms of longer runs. This one is a shorter session. It's 45 minutes rather than the 55 minutes we had at lunchtime. And of course, it's the last chance to get ready before qualifying one tomorrow morning, which sets the grid for the first race of the weekend. So there'll be a lot more drivers and teams emulating qualifying runs, I suspect, in this session. It was Matteo Cairoli who topped the times in the first free practice session, 1 minute 34.289 seconds in the Ferrari 296 from Emil Frey Racing. Bender, right at the end of the session, popped the Dürr Motorsport McLaren up to second place with a 134.521, a couple of tenths behind Matteo. And then Thomas Preining, one of the two race winners we had at the Red Bull Ring for the season opener, the 2023 champion, he was third with a 134.604. Just about half a tenth slower than him was Lucas Auer, who had two podiums at Red Bull Ring and is currently second in the championship behind Maro Engel. And then fifth and sixth in that first free practice session were Thierry Vermeulen and Jules Gounon. So you can see a great drone shot there of the track being cleared up and cleared. You need to do that a lot here because that wind does blow a lot of sand from the dunes that surround the circuit onto the track, and quite a few drivers and teams that I spoke to after free practice one saying it was pretty slippy in the first practice session. So 45 minutes of free practice 2 coming up in a few minutes' time. It's just going to be a slight delay to the start of the session. We're here at Zandvoort in the commentary box. My name's Chris Hartley, and alongside me, it's good afternoon again to Brian Oliver.
Good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody. What a lovely afternoon we're having in the sunshine. I'm loving the drone shots. That just as we were rising up then, you saw how close we are actually to the sea. You literally exit the circuit, cross the road, and you're sat on the beach. No sitting on the beach for this lot, though. They work so hard here at Circuit Zandvoort. We are forever grateful to the Orange Army. The GT Masters that have just been on for their free practice appear to have made a bit of a mess of the track.
Yeah, when I came here last year, it was pretty windy and a bit rainy as well. I went for a walk along the beach last year on the Friday evening at around about 8-9 o'clock at night, and even when it was going dark, there must have been 30 or 40 kite surfers using their equipment out on the shoreline. This year, it was really busy last night on the beach. Even when the sun was going down, loads of people out there on the beach. I saw a man with an inflatable dinghy and a bottle of red wine, which I thought was not a very good combination. He's probably floated off somewhere to England at this point. But yeah, really, really great vibe, and lots of people in the town as well, eating outside in the restaurants, just enjoying the good weather. It's really odd. You come to Holland, you have a walk around the town, and all you can hear are German accents and German voices in the German language, because there's so many fans that have come across the border to watch the racing here.
Oh, and what a treat they're in for. I tell you what, there's nothing like it here at Zandvoort. If you get a day like today, I'm looking forward to tonight, because you can sit on the beach and the sun goes down. It's like Ibiza, where the sun goes down and just melts into the sea. There is nothing like it, and there's a party atmosphere here as well. The marshals party, they dance, they really take their jobs so seriously, but they really enjoy it at the same time. It's a unique atmosphere here, isn't it? We don't get this kind of vibe anywhere else.
No, absolutely right, and it really adds to the whole event, I think. So, and we get more and more people, don't we, as well? Because the ADAC have done a great job promoting the series, and each time we come back to Zandvoort, there are bigger crowds, a great crowd, didn't we? At the Red Bull Ring, 51,000 people people across the course of the weekend. Bearing in mind, it's a German-based championship, but the first 2 rounds, Brian, this year are both overseas.
Yes, absolutely. And that may well grow in the future. It was really interesting to hear sports president Gert Ensner talking last week. He said that the DTM is safer than retirement. He says we're talking about 40 years, not 4 years of future for the DTM. And Thomas Voss, the boss, has been saying that they're really looking at expanding the number of DTM weekends and becoming more international again. Quite excited by the prospect of that. I mean, we love racing in Germany, but there are so many great circuits. And I mean, for me, 8 rounds is not enough. I'd like to have loads more because I absolutely love watching and talking about DTM.
Yeah, absolutely right. 16 races, never a dull moment, and championships that, as we saw last year, literally go down to the wire. And there's no reason to believe that we're not going to be just as close this year. Maybe we won't get that final lap drama. That felt like a bit of a once-in-a-lifetime thing, didn't it, last year? But I'm sure it's going to be another incredibly competitive season. We've already had 2 races, 2 different winners, 2 different pole sitters. It kind of sets the tone for the rest of the year. And a good effort from Matteo Cairoli this morning to be early afternoon at lunchtime, to be top of the times in that first free practice session. He's a driver that's got plenty of GT experience. He started out in Porsche Carrera Italia champion a few years ago, and then moved into international GT racing. So he won the Porsche Italy Championship. In fact, it was 2014 now. Raced in Porsche Super Cup, was runner-up in that. Got 4 wins, drove for the FAC Autotech team. Then he went off to race in things like the ELMS, European Le Mans Series, the World Endurance Championship, GT World Challenge. He finished second last year, did Matteo Cairoli, in the GT World Challenge Europe Endurance Cup. So he joined the car, the Winward team Manfilter Mercedes, with Lucas Auer and Maro Engel for the longer races in GT World Challenge. He was the 3rd driver, and they got a win at Monza and finished 2nd in the Endurance Championship last year. 3rd in the Nürburgring 24-hour last year with Bastian Boos, who's one of our rookies on the grid this year, or newcomers to the grid this year. And he's raced at Macau once a couple of years ago. And he was the Nürburgring 24-hour race winner in 2021, one of those years where lots of time was lost to the weather, but still a great effort with Kevin Estre and Michael Christensen in the Manthey Porsche. Now, of course, he's racing against Manthey Porsches here in the DTM, and the green flag has been dropped. The cars, as you can see, are heading out onto the track for 45 minutes of free practice 2.
So this is the last 45 minutes before we head into quali tomorrow morning. So it was, as you say, Matteo Cairoli. It was a 1:34.289. Get the feeling that most of the drivers were concentrating on setup and long runs this morning. I think this session may well be a little bit more representative, and we were speculating as to whether we might see some drivers into the 1:33s. We're just looking again here. Is this going to be somebody lighting it up? And it's always Thomas Bryden, who he says to Tom Callender, here, drive through my fog, and lights up the tyres. He always does that, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, yes. Absolutely, yeah. The smoke screen that comes from the back, it's like a James Bond Aston Martin, that Porsche, isn't it? Presses the smoke button, he ignites the tyres and warms them up. They get an extra set to use for free practice, but for the race weekend, for Saturday and Sunday, 4 sets of tyres. A reminder that Maro Engel is the championship leader. What a couple of weeks he's had. I spoke to him earlier. I said, you could have won both races at the opener at the DTM, because he finished 3rd in race 1, didn't he? Only really because they had a problem with his pit stop, which dropped him back, and he finished 3rd in race 1 in the end, then from 5th on the grid, won race 2. But this is typical Maro, seeing the positive things in life and seeing things from a racing driver's point of view. He said, yes, but if we'd won the first race, we might not have won the second race, because I'd have had the success ballast on board. 20 kilograms, it would have been hard. So he said, actually, overall, really positive weekend, really pleased to be leading the championship after that first weekend. And of course, he had a rather good result at the Nürburgring 24-hour race with his second win, coming 10 years after his first just last week.
What a way to celebrate. And yes, I have to say, any driver, I think, would take a 1st and a 3rd. Of course, he has the cheetah livery down the side of his car because it's the fastest land animal. Apparently, the idea to put the cheetah on the car came from his father. It's a really lively livery, and the fastest land animal. Well, he is the fastest land animal here. Certainly was at the Red Bull Ring with that third and then a first place. I mean, that is a seriously good points haul for a season opener. But this man here with a second and a third at the Red Bull Ring, Lucas Auer, making up for what was a disappointing, ultimately, Nürburgring 24 for him. But he is really carrying on where he left off at the end of last year. I mean, last year, Lucas Auer was Mr. Consistency, wasn't he? He was there leading the championship for much of the year, but for that last race, and certainly this year in such a strong position as well.
Marco Mappelli's Lamborghini Temerario, which had a spin in the first free practice session. That was up at turn 7. Did you see that car being pushed back into the garage, the Red Bull Apt garage? Had a little bit of BOP assistance for this weekend, but it was generally a much more positive first free practice session for all 4 of the Lamborghini Temerarios. 2 of them run by Red Bull Apt, and 2 of them, of course, run by Grasser. TGI team by GRT, Grasser Racing Team, Gottfried Grasser's Austrian outfit. They've got Mirko Bortolotti back with them this season, and Mirko was well up in the top 10 in the first free practice session, which was definitely very positive. We spoke in the first free practice session about how Grasser had been to former F1 world champion Nico Rosberg's 7-post rig setup, and been testing all sorts of analysis on the pitch of the car and the turn of the car, and simulating things and trying to get to the bottom. What is a new car, brand new car, only delivered to the teams literally 2 or 3 weeks before they started running them in Angus. So it's very much a development year. It's going to be tough with the lack of testing you get in DTM. You only have 5 test days across the course of the year per car that you can use, and only one of those can be private. Interestingly, one of the teams, or 2 of the teams that have already used up that private test are Emil Frey, who were here at Zandvoort before the new tyre, which has been used in DTM, the new Pirelli tyre, before that actually became available. They were here as early as March doing some testing, because they're also trying to set up the cars for GT World Challenge. So they tested here in March, much cooler conditions, but also not on the tyre they're actually going to use in the races. And Abt have already used up their private test day, which was here at Zandvoort as well. And for Abt, Brian, they only used this car in this championship, whereas at least Grasser used the Temerario in the GT World Challenge, albeit with a different tyre this year, but they're still getting a lot more chances to figure out the car, aren't they?
Yes, and the different tyre that we run the DTM does give a different dynamic to what teams are testing for. Mirko Bortolotti driving into the glorious sunshine, not much of a view there. But we've also got some teams that are doing a dual programme with GT Masters that are on the same build this weekend here at Zandvoort. So there's a bit of data, certainly Come To You Racing, one of those teams, HRT, the data that can be swapped between the 2. But it's all about the data, isn't it? The testing, and it's not just about the tyres, as is proven by the fact that Emil Frey were running with a different tyre.
Mirko Bortolotti, runner-up at the Nürburgring 24 hours, and he is there in the Temerario with Grasser Racing, the TGI livery. Resplendent in the sunshine. That's him going through the banking at turn 3, whipping past Nicky Tim's Aston Martin. By the way, Brian talked in the first free practice session about the charity run that was here last night. Everybody did a lap of the circuit, everybody that was here, and lots of the drivers did it. If you go on the DTM social media and have a look at the photos that they put up, go and find out the photograph of Nicky Tim. It's the most brilliant photo of Nicky roaring like a Viking as he's running. Looks like he's charging towards, going into battle or something, taking on an entire nation. It's a fantastic photo. And you said he was the one driver who was running on the grass most of the time, wasn't he?
I did not see him on the tarmac at any point, actually. He didn't go up high on the banking, I hasten to add, because that would have been a real challenge for him. But yeah, Nicky Tim was giving it his all. Also, you talk about the DTM social media. We mentioned this morning, we were reminiscing about 2 years ago, Marco Wittmann in the green Schubert BMW, where the remnants of it he dragged across the line. I don't know if the DTM social media team are listening or not, but they've posted a video of that on their Instagram page, and it was him and Mirko Bortolotti that got together in that particular race. That's well right. Worth checking out the DTM Instagram page. There's some great old videos in there as well as of course some stunning pictures from last night's run.
If you saw if anybody watched the Artemis space mission around the trajectory around the moon a few weeks ago, and then when the shuttle re-enters the Earth's atmosphere and everything's smoking and there's bits flying off it. That's what Marco Wittmann's BMW was like at the end of that race.
But the Artemis wasn't held together with gaffer tape, and one corner Marco Wittmann's car was.
There's our championship leader, Mauro Engel, then a first, a third, and third in the last 2 championship years. Can he make that just extra step up? It came so close last year. He's got himself a 7-point lead in the championship over Lucas Auer. Also got 2 podium finishes, and with a 2nd and a 5th from the Red Bull Ring. Marco Wittmann had his best championship season last year for a number of years, very much in the fight. Speaking to Jules Gounon as well, teammate to Mauro Engel, who obviously had bad luck. Him and Lugiao with Max Verstappen in the car that led the race at the Nürburgring and dropped out with just a few hours to go. And then, of course, Jules had really bad luck in the first race at the Red Bull Ring in the DTM when he was absolutely cast iron, set for a podium finish, a 2nd place finish, and then suddenly the suspension went. And I had a good long chat with Jules, and he said over the winter, he said, I've just basically had a reset. I've changed a few things in my life away from racing. I've focused a lot more on training. He's got a new chassis this year, because if you remember last year, Jules halfway through the season switched his chassis, and I think it was at Sachsenring where he switched it, and he said he was much happier with the car, and he was very competitive the second half of last year. Not that he wasn't in the first half of the year, but he was much happier with that car. And I asked him this afternoon, I said, is that the chassis you ended the year with? He said, no, this is another one. This is a brand new one for this year. He said, so everything's good. He said, I feel great. I've been driving fast. The car feels great. I'm really happy with everything. But we just said, I don't know what, I just wake up and I think, when am I going to lose this streak of bad luck that keeps happening to me?
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting him to win a race last season. We've seen how good he is over the years, and he certainly is not coming into DTM to make up the numbers, and I was expecting to see him on the top step of the podium, so I'm surprised he hasn't. But yeah, if it wasn't for bad luck and all that, it's going to change soon, and it's persistence that pays off, and I've no doubt at all. I am convinced he's going to win a race sooner rather than later.
Totally.
There's a little bit of on track going on here. Oh, that'll be Matteo Cairoli and Kelvin van der Linde, who's looking a little impatient. The BMW was the only car that was really struggling with graining in the pre-season testing, wasn't it? So here at Zandvoort, which is a real tyre-eating circuit, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. At the moment, he just wants to get past that Ferrari and get some open space, I think.
Cairoli had a really good first sector, didn't he? The absolute best first sector so far, but lost a bit of time in that middle sector. Matteo is about to come over the line, and that is a 1:35.7, so his 3rd quickest at the moment. That was about 8/10 slower than his previous, his absolute best lap so far. It's Ben Durr who's topping the times. He's the only one into that sort of low 1:34 bracket that we got into towards the end of free practice 1. There he is, Ben Durr, 1:34.490. It feels like, we talk about when is Jules Gounon and his bad luck going to end, and when's he going to get a win? There's somebody else that's had a bit of bad luck in the last couple of years. I think back to the Sachsenring, where he finished the race on the podium, on a podium position at least, finished in 2nd, then got a post-race penalty because the team had put the wrong tyres on the car to go to the grid, not even the tyres to use in the race, and then he got kicked out of that. He's on the front row of the grid. He's had a pole position last year. He's on the front row of the grid at the Red Bull Ring, had some contact, as we talked about earlier, out of the race. And he's, for somebody who's relatively inexperienced over the last few years in terms of A, DTM, and B, any kind of GT3 racing, Ben Durr hugely improved last year, his 2nd season of DTM. The team keeps getting better and better, and it feels like he's now becoming a regular front runner, and that podium, it feels like it should be coming sometime soon.
It really does. I mean, I'm not going to be rude about him, but 3 or 4 years ago when he was in GT4 Germany, he was very much a midfield runner. And the steps forwards that he's taken every season, it's not a step, it's a leap forwards. And every year, that progression, and if he continues with that progression, then he's going to be a very regular race winner, because he is now an incredibly competent driver, and as you say, but for bad luck, would have been a race winner already. So only a matter of time. We saw at the Red Bull Ring that he has clearly taken another big step over the winter. And, well, you can see here for yourself, he's leading the way. He's quicker than he was this morning. He had he's on the team radio now. Let's just break away for that.
The fastest lap, just for info, fastest lap is 34.4, which is from you
from you. That's good news. Yeah, this morning he was a 34.521, so he's quicker than he was this morning, although he's still not up to the speed. Matteo Cairoli is the only one who has gone quicker than everybody else, and that was in FP1 this morning, a 134.289. But Ben Dor, second this morning, quickest in this session.
So last year, free practice 2, 1 minute 33.345 was the best lap time that we had. And it was cooler. It was 17 degrees. The track temperature was pretty hot though. It was 30 degrees. The track temperature wasn't much cooler than it is at the moment. But this track changes every time the drivers go out. Several of them have said this to me. The weather can feel the same. You go out, the track is different. The wind, different amounts of sand are blowing. There's different types of cars with different tyres going around in the other support series that drop their rubber onto the track. And it feels like more than most circuits, this place evolves and changes. And you think you've got the setup nailed. That worked really well 2 hours ago. You go back out, you use the same setup, and it's all over the place. So just because they were doing 133s last year, I know the tyre is different this year, but the tyre is a little bit softer than last year's tyre, and it was pretty comparable at Red Bull Ring, the lap times there. Here, they're not going as quick as they went in free practice by about a second a lap. Is there more to come, or is that all the track is offering up today? And what's it going to be like tomorrow morning? It's a lot cooler tomorrow morning when we go qualifying early doors, won't we? It's going to be, I mean, the practice today was at 12 o'clock, and then 4:20 in the afternoon. Tomorrow when we get to qualifying, it's going to be way earlier. It's 9:45 in the morning, and therefore it should be quite a bit cooler.
Yeah, you've just stolen the words from my mouth. I was about to say tomorrow it's going to be completely different, isn't it? It's currently just gone 25 to 5 in the evening, and you just know this track is going to completely change. We've got Porsche qualifying coming after this. That'll completely different compound of rubber, as we hear from Mirko Bortolotti on the team radio.
Good job, Mirko. Very consistent. Keep going. 4 laps.
So yeah, he's up at P4, Mirko Bortolotti at the moment, 135.282. So he's about just under 8 tenths off the fast time by Ben Dor. So Mirko Bortolotti not completely wide of the mark, but as we say, just every session so different from each other. And tomorrow morning it might be completely different again.
Absolutely right. It was David Griebengasser, his race engineer, who he's worked with before. Lots of familiar names for Mirko. Spent a lot of time racing, not just in DTM, but in other championships, GT championships with the Grasser racing team. So he knows them well. He's very happy with the team, but they're still having to work to develop this car, of course, as well. He was the driver that scored Lamborghini's first ever DTM podium. That was in Holland. That was when we went to Assen back in 2021, that first season of GT3 cars with the T3 Motorsport team, as it was then. Then his first proper assault on the DTM came in 2022 with the Grasser Racing team that season there. We ended up finishing 4th in the championship. It was very much a front runner until pretty disastrous Nürburgring towards the end of the year. We had a couple of moments, bits of contact with the likes of Liam Lawson. Then he was the runner-up in the championship to Thomas Preining in 2023 and won the title, of course, in 2024. Right, there's Jules Gounon with his new chassis for this year. Jules is doing a bit of modelling in the garage between practice sessions, modelling out the team wear, getting some photos taken. I have to say, he was very natural at it as well. I asked him if he got paid any more money for it. He said, well, no, not really. He said, but they do sponsor the car, so it's fine. He goes across the line. Looking good, isn't he? 5th quickest at the moment. He's the best of the Mercedes with a 135.289.
And what a great livery, the yellow Mamba. The fans love this. You look at the grandstand sometimes and there's just loads of man-filter hats just filling it. But yes, that's a good time. So maybe the new chassis, exactly what he needs. So certainly within reach of Ben Dor. There is Max Powell. He looked fairly solid in non-quali, in FP1 this morning. Currently in 8th place, so another the Lamborghini. So the Temerarios are kind of there at the moment. We haven't seen anybody, as you've mentioned, kind of breaking the lap times from last year. So I would say that the Lamborghini runners may be just a little bit more encouraged by what they're seeing here.
Yeah, as we said, Mirko was 8th quickest in free practice 1, but Max Powell and Luca Engst, they were only just outside the top 10, 11th and 12th. They were about half a second, or 6/10 of a second away from the fastest time, but Matteo Cairoli was 2/10 quicker than anybody this morning. So actually, they're within sort of 3 or 4 tenths of kind of 3rd, 4th quickest, and not too bad at all. Marco Mappelli was 20th after his spin.
This was by far the quickest lap on track at the moment.
That's his quickest lap then, isn't it? As Kelvin van der Linde pops himself up to 7th place, best of the 2 BMWs. Marco Wittmann in 11th. Just going back to Jules Gounon, who we're riding with now. And his bad luck at the Red Bull Ring, he's ruined the fact that he lost 20 points with that second place finish that was torn away with the suspension issue that he had towards the end of that season opener at Red Bull Ring. And he said afterwards, he said, me and Kelvin van der Linde had a chat with each other. He said, and we both felt a bit down in the dumps. He said, but look, he said, we're both title contenders. We both think of ourselves as title contenders. And we've walked away in exactly the same position as one another. They've both got 13 points, which is not what they anticipated from a weekend at the Red Bull Ring, either driver. Unlucky for some, I suppose, that number.
Hey, he's not unlucky for Jules Gounon. He gets to go back to Andorra. The view from his flat is insane. So there, he's back into the pits. Not that I've ever been there. He just posted a picture of it. Can I point out? So
like stalking
weird
again.
stalker there. Sorry, everyone. Right, Kelvin van der Linde. Let's just change the subject quickly. On board with the South African who now lives in Germany, has dual citizenship. That's very convenient for getting to the DTM races in the BMW. So he's done personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2 at the moment. So you can see he's in 7th place at the moment. So clearly turning the wick up a bit into the final sector, into Kumo, and then into the amazing Ari Luyendyk, banked by 18 degrees, launching himself out along the pit straight. So he'll come across the line, 4th place, a 1:34.953, so about 6/10 of the quickest time. No, 4/10 even. My maths is dodgy. 0.463 of the quickest time set by Ben Durr.
Not bad. So Duran Inksler into the pits. Mario Engel, you can see he's in the pits. Jules Gounon, his Winward teammate, is in the pits. Marco Wittmann, Thomas Priding, Ricardo Feller, Tom Callender, Bastian Boos and Arjun Maini all in the pits. It's that sort of mid-session pause where it's a bit quieter on track. They'll all be going out again, certainly for the last 15 minutes or so. One last chance to set yourselves up for quality. Managed to find Finn Wiebelhurst to find out if he'd had an issue that first practice session, because he did fewer laps than most. I mean, he didn't do no laps, he did 19, but most of them were sort of doing 25, 26 laps, and he was down the bottom of the table in free practice 1. And both Fords struggling at the moment in terms of pace, if they're going for pace. Again, we don't know what they're doing. They might be trying to set the car up for the longer runs at the moment, but 1:36.5 for Finn Wiebelhurst, 1:36.8 for Arjun Maini. Puts them both a couple of seconds off the pace at the moment.
Yeah, and HRT are trying to get on top of an issue with Arjun Maini's car they've had since the pre-season test. They reckon there's a lack of power, but they're not sure whether it's the gearbox, the engine, or the drive chain.
Red flag.
Oh, so what's happened here? We've got anybody stopped out on track? I think it might just be we've got debris or dirty track. So it doesn't look like there's anybody stranded out on track, does it?
No, we've got a GPS track map with positions of all the cars around the circuit, and they all seem to be moving. There's not one car that's stationary.
I've got Marco Mappelli, who's been shown as potentially...
He's not in the pits yet, is he?
You're saying somebody's losing oil? I will report it. We got 3 laps to go.
Oh, so oil on the track. Well, that's great, actually, in terms of the race director acting quickly. We saw last week at the Nürburgring what happens when you hit oil. Ask Arjun Maini about that, and indeed Thierry Vermeulen. Yeah, that's good that they're... And there you can see it there. You can see that streak of oil into the corner. So I wonder who that's come off.
Yeah, Mappelli's back to the pits now, but yeah, I think they've all have made it, or all about to make it back to the pits. But one of them's going to be heading into the garage and getting a bit of work done on it, I should think. So while the free practice session it runs and comes to a red flag, the clock continues to tick down. Qualifying, the clock stops, but in free practice, it will carry on. Right, here's the answer to the question, I think. And that is the Grasser Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And yes, that's coming through.
Is that Max Powell?
See the number from that.
I think it was Max Powell's car that might have been doing that. It was certainly either him or Mirko Bortolotti, but I think it was Max. But whichever way, that looks pretty poor in terms of the...
This is Mirko that's out on track at the moment, so Max Powell is back in the garage. So he's crawling back, but that doesn't mean he's the one with the problem necessarily.
No.
It's one of the two gold and black liveried cars. Right, there's the inspection. Stand on it. Is it slippy? Yes. Should we get it treated? Yes. So obviously with these cars that can do 260 kilometres an hour, these high-speed turns, and it's a proper old-school track. This you don't have a huge amount of runoff before you get to the gravel, as you can see from the picture there.
Yeah,
it's track, then it's gravel straight
away.
Your
back, mate.
Yeah,
the car coming.
What happened to you this weekend?
Yes.
I got run over by Mirko Bortolotti. Okay.
Well, what a way to go. That's what I say. While we have a few moments, I'm just going to slightly digress a little from as indeed the drone does. That's a great bit of driving
Showing
there.
off now.
Yes. I just want to mention the driving change campaign that we have here in cooperation with BWT, Best Water Technology, and really cool, something that we've been very much talking about over the last few years. Just more and more BWT and the ADAC working really hard for change in sustainability. And one of the things we talked about the run last night, but one of the things that the ADAC and BWT are doing is they're trying to work really hard to certainly on site here reduce single-use plastic and glass bottles, as well as CO2 emissions from transport. The commitment is to clean drinking water worldwide. BWT and ADAC directly support the Well Construction Project Be Water Mission, which is what I managed to forget what it was called this morning, a project of the Aquapearls Foundation by BWT, and the whole thing about trying to also provide clean drinking water in Africa and around the world, and also the sustainability. So we don't have plastic bottles here on the circuit anymore. There are water dispensers around the place. There are all sorts of initiatives, and the overall impact from this is 36 wells have been built already, providing over 13,000 people in Africa with safe and clean drinking water, a basic human right. And it's so good to see the ADAC along with BWT doing so much through the DTM and GT Masters and all the other series that they run to promote clean drinking water and sustainability. Just one of many initiatives, and that's before we get onto tyres and synthetic fuels. So really good stuff, and we don't often get a chance to talk about that, so red flag's always a good opportunity.
Absolutely right. And while you were running through that, we got another slow-mo replay coming out of the turn 14 banking at Ari Lyondike, and from that we could see it was Max Powell. That was the car. It wasn't Mirko Bortolotti, it was Max Powell's number 19 machine. That definitely looked like it had a trail of smoke coming from the back of it. So yes, that seems to be where, putting two and two together, the oil has come from here. You mentioned the fuel. Last year it was the first time that fully synthetic fuel had been used in the DTM, which is a great thing that's happening more and more in motorsport, isn't it? And to try and make the racing more environmentally friendly in terms of emissions, and the synthetic fuel that they use in the cars is said to reduce CO2 emissions by at least 75% compared to conventional fuels that we use in our cars when we're fueling up at home. So it's a great effort by DTM to do that. Everything they're doing with BWT that you mentioned there in terms of sustainable paddocks and getting rid of plastic water bottles in the paddock. The tyres, of course, as you mentioned, produced by Pirelli to reduce their carbon footprint, because they've been produced in a factory, one of Pirelli's most high-tech factories, which is in Germany, rather than shipping the tyres from Italy. Here we go. This is going to be Max Powell, from a different angle. That's running through the chicane, and there you can see all the smoke, all the oil coming out of Max's car as he brought it back to the paddock, and that's been laid down there for around quite a bit of the lap, I would say. And now this is an issue for everybody who is just at this stage, isn't it, with 20 minutes to go, that you're thinking, right, let's go and have one push now and see if we can try the car out in a qualifying trim for tomorrow morning. And you look at the clock and you look at the amount of time it might take to clear up the oil, and you think, are we going to get the chance to do this?
Yes, well, it's good, doesn't it? It makes it all the bigger surprise tomorrow morning when we get to quali. Isn't it great to see so many people here enjoying the sunshine? And I absolutely love Zandvoort. Hi there. We wave back at you from the commentary box. The wildlife around here, it's so great, because as soon as the noise of the cars die down, you can hear the birds' song. This circuit is surrounded by a nature reserve. You walk around here in the evenings and you see all sorts of birds of prey and goodness knows what else. and it is wonderful. And it's a great place to bring the family. Really, the ADAC working hard to make this a real family affair. So if you are in Germany, the Netherlands, or near any of the DTM race weekends, come along. They make it very accessible for families. So much entertainment goes on apart from what's on the track as well. It really is a proper family day out. And there is the front off the car, and you get the feeling that the number 19 machine might not reappear for the rest of this session.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Well, two things. One, well done, marshals. They've cleaned that up very quickly, actually. So we're already getting the session back up and running. Green flag is back out. And two, and I thought this might happen because it is always an option, race control, Sven Stopper, the race director, has extended the session by 5 minutes, knowing how important it is, knowing that we lost probably about 10 minutes there of track time in what's a crucial free practice session. Then the race director has extended the session by 5 minutes, which means we've still got 23.5 minutes to go. We haven't really, therefore, lost too much time. As a result of that, of course, Max Powell will. One of the things that they said about the Temerario in the pre-season test was how reliable it had been. They still need to work on things in terms of the performance of the car. But actually, they've done a lot of mileage, haven't they? It was pretty reliable. But that's going to be back foot job now tomorrow morning for Max Powell, possibly a late night for the team. And of course, Max was one of the heroes here last year, wasn't he? In the Lamborghini Huracan for Powell Motorsport, opting to start on the slick tyre and finishing on the podium as the track dried out.
And for sure, Finn, on the first lap, take care out there. Maybe it's still a bit slippery. Judge the condition before going full attack.
You mentioned race director Sven Stopper. He was one of the people doing the run last night. I have to tell you, he's a machine. I couldn't keep up with him.
Oh, right. Okay.
He was very, very impressive. I would not argue with him in the race steward's box. There's a recommendation.
He's got to run quick to run away from all the drivers harassing him, probably. Why did you give me this penalty? Why did you give me that penalty?
Yeah, you wouldn't argue with him, trust me.
Oh, I'll try. Don't worry. Racing drivers will always try. Yeah, Finn Wiebelhaus there. Valentin Plonk, his race engineer, telling him to be a little bit careful. Valentin, one of the French engineers, very, very international in terms of the team members that run these cars. Obviously, it's a German-based championship. You go in any garage, you hear English accents, Scottish accents, French accents. Obviously, the international language that's used within the paddock is English. Even if you've got a German race engineer speaking to a German driver, they'll speak English to each other over the radio. Which blows my mind how you could be so good at speaking a foreign language that you can drive a racing car at 260 kilometers an hour in the middle of battle with some of the best drivers in the world, and you can speak your second language over the team radio. Is incredible in my mind, anyway.
If you haven't noticed, I struggle with my first language when I'm commentating. I don't know the others. But yeah, it's great actually when you come to the Netherlands or indeed to Germany, and I'm able to check into the hotel in English, which is just as well, really, because Google Translate doesn't always work. But yes, fantastic. Right, let's have a look here then. So we're back to the session, 21 minutes remaining. Bendor's still the fastest man on the track. Marco Mappelli's just popped up with a 135.124. Didn't take him long to get tyres in the window, did it?
Yeah, good effort that from Marco. So Lamborghini's 5th and 6th, Mappelli and Bortolotti. Bendor's 134.490, still handsomely at the top of the times by 3.5 tenths of a second clear of Luca Engstler, who is the best of the Lamborghinis and runs in second place, runner-up in the Nürburgring 24-hour race with, as one of his teammates for Red Bull Abt, a driver that drove for them in the DTM, of course, last year, Mirko Bortolotti at the Nürburgring last year, and Spa 24-hour winner last year as well, Luca Engstler, building up some nice things on his CV. He's had a couple of runs at Macau as well. Quick but unlucky last November was Luca. Got caught up in somebody else's incident at the start of the main race. And a great touring car driver as well, wasn't he, Luca Engstler, in TCR. He won I think 4 championships in TCR, in Germany, in Asia, Malaysia. to have made the switch from front-wheel drive touring cars to rear-wheel drive GT3s, that's a heck of a step, and he's done a great job, I think.
It was my pleasure to commentate on Luca Engstler in TCR Germany. Well, it got a bit tedious, actually, because he kept winning. And when he wasn't winning, it was one of the other Engstler cars that were winning. Yeah, he was showing his worth all those years ago. Oh, that was back in about 2020, I think it was, maybe 21. But yeah, I mean, he's come through the ranks. And as you say, the switch from front-wheel drive touring cars, it was a Hyundai at the time, and to now be a race winner in the DTM, that really is a great step. And pole position, may I remind you, last week for the Nürburgring 24-hour race. That was fantastic. And just a shame it didn't come to quite what he expected. The look on his face when they pointed the camera at him after the first lap said it all. But, you know, he is without a doubt a future champion in the wings, and just really, really good to have him as part of DTM.
And to boot, a really nice fella as well,
absolutely.
Luca Engstler.
And a hard worker as well, because Engstler, who field cars in pretty well every series that's going, and Luca, you'll often see him there, not just loading it up, but he's the one often sweeping the floor, loading the truck, doing whatever has to be done as well. So yeah, absolutely, and always ready to have a conversation, always ready to talk, which is a really nice thing.
Yeah, the Liqui Moly team, Engstler team, had a great victory at the Red Bull Ring in GT Masters. Yeah, it was back in 2019, 2020, 2021. As you said, that he was having that halcyon period in TCR racing. TCR Asia champion in 2019, the next year the Malaysia champion, and as you said, 2021 he won the German championship. Fans of the British Touring Car Championship will note that the year he won the Malaysia championship, second to him in that year's championship was Dan Lloyd, who was the Independent's British Touring Cars champion last year. Sadly not racing this year, he's concentrating on his business commitments, Dan Lloyd, but still very much involved with the team, the Restart Racing team, who we won the Independence title with last year. Hopefully he'll be back behind the wheel before too long, will Dan Lloyd. But yeah, it was quite a period racing that out in Asia with two star drivers. There is the number 130 car of Luca Engstler, we've been talking about, who's third quickest, but we've got another red flag.
Oh, my goodness. Now, what is going on here? So, again, don't see anybody stationary out on track.
So lost the track map at the moment, haven't we? The GPS has gone down.
Oh, we've gone green again. Now that's weird. The timing screen went red.
Well, they're all slowing, look, so they got the message as well.
But now it's gone green. Oh, we're having a right one here, aren't we? And maybe a bit of heat got into the system, but I'm not seeing red flag on anything else, and the timing screen's gone green again. So who knows what's happening here? I'm sure we'll find out in a moment.
It might be a tech glitch, or it might be something that looked like a red flag, and it was like, it's been cleared up pretty quickly. But
oh no, it's gone red again. We've gone red again.
Okay.
I can't keep up with this.
Like the traffic lights at the M25. You're trying to get off. Red, green, red, green. So red at the moment. They're the red flags to confirm it. Just talking about the Lamborghinis, a few minutes ago, what popped up on screen was the top speeds of the cars. They can do 260 kilometres an hour, which is about 160 miles an hour. Here, the top speed through the speed trap is a little bit under that at Zandvoort, but still quick, very quick. 252 kilometres an hour is the top speed we've had so far. And
that's fast.
The quickest times have three of them come from Lamborghinis of the top five, which is impressive, isn't it? So the Temerario is no slouch in a straight line, that's for sure.
No, and I feel like it just certainly, I don't want to speak too soon, but certainly the signs in both the free practice sessions, with the exception of Max Powell, have been very encouraging as we see more people enjoying the sunshine. We just saw Thomas Preining on screen just now. One thing I didn't mention was that I haven't spoken to him about it, but he is parting company with his race engineer, Kai Sterling. Who he described, it was like a married couple, their relationship, but Kai moving on to other things. So after this event, Thomas Preining is going to be with a different race engineer, which will be interesting to see how that works, because the dynamic between him and his race engineer has always been something quite magical, hasn't it?
Yeah, they won the championship together, of course, didn't they, in 2023, and during that period, Thomas said he was on the phone every day. They were on the phone to each other, wasn't just Thomas harassing Kai. It was Kai, speaking to, on the beach on a holiday. They were still even on a break, discussing how they could make the car better, change things, work things up in that title-winning year. There is Tommy Preining to the left. That's quite a lineup, isn't it?
Yes.
Thomas Preining and Kelvin van der Linde. There's going to be some great battles between those two. That's Max Pell's car looking a bit more Lamborghini-like now. So is that a quick fix? Just an oil pipe, maybe?
Well, do you know what? When we saw it going past, not that I know anything, but it looked to me like it was more water than oil that might have been coming from it. And I wonder if there was a hose or something, a water hose of some sort that might have popped, as opposed to oil. I mean, if it had been oil, surely they would need to strip that down and start again effectively. Thomas Preining making his intentions clear.
Thou shalt not pass. I'm getting there first.
Yes. Well, I mean, Calvin could just push him out of the way there, couldn't he?
Blocking the road there, isn't he?
You back up and go the other way around him.
You can try and get past me if you like, but...
now Bastian Boost is joining in.
He's going to go straight into the back of Calvin. They're all keen to get out, I think, is the answer.
Well, that's because the clock's ticking down, and next session is quali. So they've all got programmes that have got to be fulfilled here.
Restart at 5 o'clock dead, it says on the screen, which is in less than a minute's time. So again,
10 seconds by my
whatever
reckoning,
it was a very quick clear up as well. This time, no further extension to the amount of time we get. So that means there are 12 minutes to go. But of course, they're going to lose 2 or 3 of those on their laps from the pit lane just to get back to the start-finish line. So this is going to be a very busy... This is almost going to be like qualifying, isn't it? They're all going to go out for 12 minutes, except really they only go out for about 7 minutes in qualifying these days, don't they?
2 qualies.
Yeah. But yeah, look at the queue, all getting out there as quickly as possible. And it's been a bit stop-start this session, hasn't it? Which is suboptimal for the teams and drivers who all, of course, go into this with a plan. This is how we're going to run the session. We're going to do this many laps, then you're going to come in, then we're going to have a break, then you're going to go out, then we're going to try this. That's completely torn up, that plan. Thrown out of the window, reset, and think on your feet now.
I mean, it all felt quite chilled and laid back for the session up until the red flag. Now suddenly it feels a little bit frantic. You just feel it in the air, can't you? Suddenly everybody's like, okay, time's running out. We've got a lot to do here. So suddenly, as you say, it's all going to get a little bit busy as I expect the cars to come pouring out of the pit. So 11 minutes, 134.490 is the target set by Ben Deur sometime, well, it felt like this morning, but it was at the beginning of this session. And everybody chasing one of those McLarens.
Timo Glock in the other McLaren 16th with a 136.2. Hasn't yet really got a proper lap in, so he'll be keen to get out there and try to get somewhere near Ben Deur's time. We've got only the top 5 that have broken into the 1 minute 34 barrier so far. 134.490 the quickest time. Matteo Cairoli in the first session did a 134.289, so we haven't gone quite as quick yet as we did in that first session, but it was pretty late on. You'll remember, if you watched Free Practice 1, where those quicker times came, particularly Ben Deur was right at the end of the session where he set his time on board with Kelvin van der Linde. He now gets in front of Thomas Preining, so he makes sure he gets ahead of the Manthey Porsche, and that's a great rear-facing camera on the right side of the BMW. This shot here as they head up through into turn 3. The next shot is one of my favourite in motorsport. If we get it in the top of the hill at the Slottermacher corner, it's fantastic, isn't it? The elevation change when they come up the hill now, all uphill for this part of the circuit, this next part of the circuit, and then they are just charging at ridiculous speeds when they get to the top of the brow through that turn, that right-hander, which is turn 6 at Slottermacher, which they're going at around about 230 kilometres an hour. The cars go light, they go over a crest, they almost get airborne, don't they? They go so quickly through there as they're turning to get to the top of the hill. It's just a fantastic section of track. If you ever come to Zandvoort, you can walk around most of the circuit, basically. Go and have a walk up in the dunes, away from the noise of the crowd, away from the paddock, and just go and watch it somewhere like turn 6 or turn 7 at the top of that hill. And you can see and feel, I mean, you're literally a few metres from the track there as well, on the dunes, just how quick these machines are.
It's an insane spot, isn't it? Up at Rod Slopemaker, that's the, but yes, the famous touring car racer, but yeah, turn 6 we'll call it in this instance. But one of the things I like there is you can see just heading up the hill towards turn 6 the scuff marks on the ground where the cars bottom out as all the weight transfers.
Yeah.
And it's like these brown scuff marks, and then they go into the steep downhill into Scheivlach, which is a really tricky corner. It is, as you say, it's a sensational place to watch.
So this is it here. You're at turn 6, basically. This right-hander up here,
Bottom out
230 kilometres. It's absolutely fantastic. It's pretty scary to go. I've filmed some Fun Cup races up there a few years ago with a camera op, stood just on the other side of the fence. And those cars can only do, compared to these cars, about 2/3 as quick as these cars. That still felt insanely quick. To watch these cars, these GT3 cars, it's fantastic. First time I ever came to Zandvoort was to cover a GT Masters race, and it blew my mind when I went and watched GT3 cars through there for the first time. That Slotemacher corner, as you said, turn 6. My fun fact about Rob Slotemacher, the Dutch driver, he raced in F1 out at Le Mans. But he was the driving advisor to Steve McQueen when Steve drove for real in the Le Mans film, the famous Le Mans film. So he was the guy that was giving all the advice to Steve about how to drive the cars. Sadly, Rob got killed back in the late 1970s in a Trophy of Dunes touring car race. But yeah, it was a bit of a legendary figure in the world of Dutch motorsport, he was. As Thomas Preining sets the absolute best middle sector of the lap. Look, so he's only 15th at the moment. Looks like Kelvin van der Linde, he's on a decent lap as well, just in front of him, although he hasn't set any personal best sector times. So these two, I think, are going to move up the order. Kelvin's maybe not so much, he's 6th, because 5th now is Timo Glock, who's done what I said he needed to do, and got a bit closer to the times of his teammate in McLaren. Where's Thomas going to end up? Luki Au's on a good lap as well. Preining goes top of the times, 1:34.259, quickest lap of the session so far. Very close to the time that we saw from Matteo Cairoli in the first free practice, but
quicker.
There's more to come. Luki Au is going to go quicker. Is he? No, he lost a bit of time in the last sector. It was looking good up until that last couple of corners, but a 1:34.6 in the end puts him in 3rd place. So Preining, Durr and Auer, the top 3. Mapelli 4th, Engstler 5th, Cairoli in 6th.
So Preining with the fastest time of the day so far, 1:34.259. He waited till quite late with all the stops and starts before he did it. Timo Glock, those green bars indicating he's done a personal best in Sector 1, a personal best in Sector 2. Now up onto the banking, 18 degrees of Arie Luyendyk, named after the Dutch 2x Indy 500 winner. Out across the line comes Timo Glock. How's he going to do here? 2nd place. So we've got a McLaren in 2nd and a McLaren in 3rd. And Timo Glock has eclipsed his teammate Ben Durr, dropped him down to 3rd place. I wonder if Ben Durr will try to respond to that.
Isn't it nice to see Timo Glock, after the horrendous year that he had last year, back up there in the mix? So Timo, the ex-Grand Prix driver, 2nd quickest in the session, only bettered by Tommy Preining in that Porsche. But the McLaren's looking good here, 2nd and 3rd. I remember in their first year in the championship, they performed well here at Zandvoort, back when Clement Schmidt was racing for them. If I remember right, he got into the top 4 in qualifying. So, yeah, it's a circuit which seems to suit the McLaren. But I don't think it's just this track this year. I think the car is generally, we've already seen it at a very different circuit at the Red Bull Ring, looking very competitive. Here at Zandvoort, it looks competitive. They're getting there, aren't they, that team?
Yeah, well, isn't it good to see? And Mirko Bortolotti also getting there, a green in Sector 1, so personal best in Sector 1. Just on the subject of Lamborghinis, Max Powell is in the pit still at the moment, so clearly whatever the issue was has not been sortable. But apart from that, everybody else is out on track. It's looking very, very busy out there. This is the last 5 minutes of free practice before we head into the first qualifying session of the weekend. Championship leader Maro Engel also turning the wick up, so I think we're into kind of qualifying simulations at the moment. So Maro Engel currently in 3rd place, a 1:34.453, but improving still on that, certainly in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 1, and continuing as he heads through into Sector 2.
Improvements for the young guns as well. Tom Callender up to 11th in the Mercedes. Youngest ever driver in the DTM. He's only just turned 18 just before we got to the Red Bull Ring. And Finn Wiebelhaus, who's the grand old age of 19 in the Ford. A big improvement for him as well in the Mustang. He's got himself up into 12th place. Maro Engel, though, he's on the best lap so far that he's put together. He stitched together 2 personal best sector times. He goes across the line now, and he goes 3rd quickest. So the championship leader 3rd quickest at the end of free practice 2. Still time for a couple more laps if he wants them as well. And Ricardo Feller has made it a Manthey Porsche 1-2. He's gone 2nd quickest behind Thomas Preining, getting a replay of Mirko Bortolotti getting very high on the banking through turn 3, having to back off the throttle, then over the curbs, then over the grass, kicking the dust up, and because Mirko is Mirko, stays fully committed and buries the throttle once more. But that would have lost him a lot. I mean, if you have a bad exit from turn 3, it's a real killer, isn't it? Because it's such a steep climb coming out of turn 3. You have to get a good exit, else it kills your top speed all the way up that hill.
Yes, and probably destroys about half of the lap after that. Well, there's proof that nobody's backing off, isn't it? You saw how hard Mirko Bortolotti was pushing, and he didn't back off as he came out of the high 19-degree banking of turn 3. But as you say, a bad exit out of turn 3, and it kind of throws you for 4, 5, 6, and 7, really, before you can regather it all up again.
So, Fella, good improvement, 134.371, only a tenth behind his teammate Thomas Preining. Manthey, they struggled, didn't they, on the Friday in free practice at the Red Bull Ring. Thomas was saying the track was less grippy than it was on the Saturday, and the Saturday they went loads quicker, and of course he was up there and won the race on Saturday. But they've certainly had a good Friday here. And the track seems to be, in terms of the lap times, pretty similar to what we had. I mean, there's just a few hundredths of a second between the fastest free practice 1 time and the fastest free practice 2 time. But they're in a good spot there. Maro Engel's gone into the pits, as you can see. 3rd quickest behind them. Luki Auer with his best lap last time around, 4th quickest with a 134.443. Then it's the McLarens in 5th and 6th. But there is a bright pink Ferrari that is on a mission. Here it comes then, past that penalty box there that you can see. That's where the hopefully none of them, but some of them probably inevitably are going to end up during the course of the races to serve their penalties. About to come into the final run through turn 13, into turn 14 now. Absolute best sector 1, absolute best sector 2. Matteo Cairoli is about to top the times for a second session running here as he crosses the line, goes through 133.803. First driver into the 133s, and that's half a second quicker than anybody else has gone so far today.
That is insane. That is very, very quick, and that just backs up what he did in FP1. So that's 0.456, as you say, nearly half a second quicker than Thomas Preining. Mirko Bortolotti, though, solid in that 3rd place as well. So lots of questions, not many answers in this session, apart from the fact that clearly Matteo Cairoli and Emil Frey Racing really are dialed in.
That car was dancing over the tarmac up at turn 6 through Slopemaker, wasn't it? Absolutely hopping over the tarmac. Just commitment all the way up the hill there. And he's on another one here. Absolute best in the first sector, 31.238 seconds. Matteo Cairoli is absolutely having a dress rehearsal for tomorrow morning's qualifying session here.
So his teammate Thierry Vermeulen is in 9th place at the moment. Mirko Bortolotti continues to improve as well. We're into the last 45 seconds of this session, but a lot of drivers still improving. Mirko Bortolotti's improving. Thierry Vermeulen is also setting personal bests as well. But in sector 1, he's about 0.3 of a second off his teammate. But Matteo Cairoli, well, it looks like he might have backed off a little bit in sector 2. But he's up onto Arie Luyendyk once again. Don't think anyone's going to get near him, are they?
I think Mirko Bortolotti might get a top 3 out of this, though, but he bought us the lap. But he was personal best through the first 2 sectors, and he was only 0.07 of a second behind Ben Durr, so it looked like he was about to go in the top 3, but he bailed for the pits in the end. Cairoli, though, with a 133.8 as his best lap. That lap he did back off in the end. That was sensational. And Ben Durr has, like he did in free practice 1, gone quickest that he's gone right at the end of the session with a 134.356. So it's Cairoli, Preining, Durr, the top 3, Bortolotti into the pits. Could have gone quicker than that, but 4th when he was on his personal best lap. Fella in 5th, Engel 6th, Auer 7th, Glock in 8th, Vermeulen in 9th, and Gounon in 10th place. So Ferrari, Porsche, McLaren, Lamborghini, Porsche, 2 Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari and Mercedes. A good mix of brands in the top 10. We're just missing from that top 10 a BMW and a Ford, aren't we? And an Aston Martin.
So it's all pretty mixed up, really, isn't it? Which is exactly what we want. And we head into quali tomorrow. Well, we'll certainly have one eye on Matteo Cairoli, won't we? Thomas Preining, who is always strong, but As we've said already, it's going to be a whole lot cooler when quali starts, because that's tomorrow morning at 9:45 in the morning. So the track will be cooler. We will have had some other racing on this surface before then as well. So who knows what's going to happen.
Absolutely, it's all set up. Definitely felt like a proper rehearsal, didn't it, for quali? There's that banking through turn 3, fantastic corner that, and drivers heading into the pit. Still time to just do a little bit more in terms of practice pit stops. They'll be doing it tonight as well. They won't be able to run the engines, but they push the cars. The mechanics push the cars into the slot and still practice their pit stops. So Matteo Cairoli and Emil Frey Racing, fastest in free practice 1, fastest in free practice 2, and 4/10 quicker in the end than Ben Durr, almost half a second quicker than Thomas Priding in 3rd. Mirko Bortolotti encouraged there in 4th place in the new Temerario in the TGI Team by GRT car. And then Ricardo Feller, Maro Engel, top 6 for them as well. Lucas Auer, Timo Glock, Thierry Vermeulen and Gilles Gounon all in the top 10. Nicky Tim just outside the top 10 in 11th place. Marco Mapelli, good job in 12th with his teammate for Red Bull Team Abt just behind him. Luca Engsler in 13th. Finn Wiebelhaus and Tom Callender both improved a bit at the end, but slotted back ultimately to finish 14th and 15th. But not such a good session for the Fords or for the BMWs. That's it then from Brian Oliver and me, Chris Hartley, for Friday. Join us again tomorrow morning with Verena Vreet ready for qualifying. Bye for now.